It was a little past 7 p.m. when Daniel pulled into the worn-out gas station sitting on the quiet edge of town. His checkered shirt hung loosely against the warm summer air. In the back of the pickup, his son Lucas sat in silence, his small face pressed against the window while the fuel pump ticked away slowly. That's when Daniel noticed her, standing by the next pump, a woman in a soft ivory dress, her face buried deep in her hands. She wasn't just brushing away a tear. She was breaking apart right there under the fading sky. Daniel didn't know her name, but something in the slump of her shoulders and the fragile trembling of her hands told him she had crossed a line no one should ever have to face alone. He paused for a heartbeat. Most people turn away when they see a stranger's pain. It's easier, less uncomfortable, less messy. But Daniel, a single father for 5 long years, knew exactly what it felt like to be invisible when the world felt unbearably heavy. He took a slow step closer, his voice gentle. "Ma'am, are you all right?" She shook her head without lifting her face. No words, just silent sobs spilling through the cracks. Daniel didn't pressure her for answers. Instead, he offered the only things within his reach, an open ear, a soft tone, and a bottle of cold water pulled from his truck. "Take your time," he whispered, his voice steady and calm. "There's no rush here." Eventually, her words slipped out in fragments. Her husband had passed away 3 months earlier. The bills had piled higher than she could manage. She had been driving aimlessly for hours, not even sure where the road was taking her. The gas station was just a stop to breathe, but the weight she carried spilled out like a flood. Daniel listened quietly, then shared a piece of his own story. Losing his wife in a sudden car accident, raising Lucas all by himself, working every small job he could find just to keep a roof overhead and food on the table. His words were steady, but his eyes told her the truth. He understood the ache she carried because he carried it too. They didn't exchange numbers. There was no dramatic gesture, no promises, no speeches. Just 2 strangers at a lonely gas station, clinging to a simple but powerful truth that sometimes someone still cares. The next day, Daniel was out in the yard mending a broken fence when a car rolled slowly into his driveway. He wiped his hands on his shirt, squinting against the sun. It was her. She stepped out, her voice still fragile but stronger than the night before. "I didn't know how to thank you," she said, her eyes shining with emotion. "But yesterday, you reminded me that life is still worth fighting for, and I want to help you fight for yours." She held out a folder, pressing it into his hands. Inside were documents, a house deed already paid in full. Daniel froze, his breath catching in his throat. "I can't accept this." But she interrupted quickly, tears spilling as she smiled. "Yes, you can. Yesterday you gave me hope. Today I'm giving it back to you." Months later, Daniel would often find himself standing on that same porch, the wood creaking softly beneath his boots, watching Lucas chase fireflies across the yard with laughter in his eyes. And every time, Daniel thought about that single moment of kindness, one he had never given, expecting anything in return, that had changed everything. Sometimes, the smallest gesture of compassion plants a seed that grows into something far greater than you could ever imagine.